Hey guys, I hope you're all doing well and that you had a great week. To all of my house guests, come in, make yourselves at home, make yourselves comfortable. If you're visiting my channel for the first time and you'd like to become a house guest, don't forget to hit subscribe and activate all of your notifications. I'm Chez, this is Chez M0i. Welcome to my place. House rules. Please do not watch this video if you have absolutely no interest in the subject matter, as indicated by the thumbnail. You struggle to simply accept other people's opinions when they don't necessarily align with yours. You're a professional point misser. You are not able to engage respectfully. Remember that there are countless other channels that cater specifically to your needs and preferences. Therefore, please feel free to exit this video and engage with their content instead. Hey guys, welcome to episode 9 of Coffee Chats, a series of alternative perspectives. Firstly, I would like to apologise for not appearing on camera. My schedule has been especially busy this week. I only have a small window to come and chat to you today. And because it would take a while for me to set up, I thought the only way I could do an episode this week is in this format, so I hope you don't mind. Secondly, I do actually have a coffee in my mug today, so let me know what you're drinking while we hang out for a little while. Thirdly, before we get into this video, you may recall in episode 8 we talked about recognising, developing and nurturing the gifts we were born with. We also talked about comparison. And here are 2 comments that I've selected. This comment is from Mrs. Clutch Sussex 7455 and she says, love this awesome video. As a 76-year-old black woman that grew up poor in the USA, I understand exactly about social comparisons. I was the oldest of 7 children and had to begin working at a young age to help put food on the table, even though both my parents worked. This continued through high school. My mother died at 43 when I was 24 years old. I was 41 when I graduated with a BS and a few years later with a master's degree. I had friends who were very intelligent but never went to college. Therefore, I will end my story here. But I've always dreamed. Been to several European countries, Canada and around the US. Saw that movie about those 3 ladies and it was great. I have tons of respect and love equally for both H&M. This comment is from Colette McCulloch 1586 and she says, hello Chez and happy birthday. I know this subject all too well. I have now 2 grown children. My son has his own business / married and doing very well for himself. And my daughter just graduated with an accounting degree and starting her own business. I had that conversation with them at an early age. When I saw how they would interact with their friends, I told them, you are your own person, do not compare yourself to no one. Your path in life is your own. When you follow others, you stop growing. Stay focused on your goals and keep God first. Everything will fall into place. I want to take this opportunity to thank every single one of you for leaving a comment on last week's episode. I really appreciate you taking time out to express your views and we're all learning from each other. Thank you also for your kind messages. I really do appreciate you guys so much. Thank you once again. In this episode, I want to talk about self-respect because I'm curious to know, where has it gone? This is an excerpt from a blog post that I came across recently. Self-esteem and self-respect are two critical concepts that are crucial to our emotional and mental well-being. Self-esteem refers to how we see ourselves and our worth, while self-respect is about valuing ourselves and setting boundaries. When we have healthy self-esteem and self-respect, we are more confident and resilient and better able to handle life's challenges. However, many struggle with low self-esteem and self-respect, impacting their relationships, work, and happiness. Now, as a content creator, I'm also a content consumer. Last week I was on YouTube and I clicked on one video which piqued my interest because it was about an extremely sensitive subject. I don't usually digest this type of content, but I watched that one video and I was going to go on to do something else, but after I finished watching that one, I was then served with a vast menu of similar content. Having watched a number of videos thereafter, it made me understand that this issue is one that I didn't know was so prolific in our community. I don't know whether that's because of naivety or I just don't see it where I live, in the country that I live in, as much. I mean, I don't know. I didn't know it was this common. So a disproportionate number of young children are being left motherless because these young women's lives are being taken by partners who they've decided to move on from. And in many cases, because the man feels he has absolutely nothing left to lose, and or he's too cowardly to face the consequences of his actions, he ends up taking his own life. So many children, not only are they motherless, but they're fatherless too, making them orphans at a very, very early age. The men who take the lives of these women, some in the most unspeakable ways, are very controlling, manipulative, coercive, narcissistic, and psychotic. It's scary. I fear for the young women that are coming up now because I don't understand why certain choices are being made. It's not really making sense to me. And I guess I just want to have this chat to try and understand why this is taking place. I'm going to play you a couple of excerpts of Harry's memoir, Spare, and then I'll come back and share my observations with you.
Chapter 21. 3 weeks later, I was getting an HIV test at a drop-in clinic in Barbados with Rihanna. Royal life. The occasion was the upcoming World AIDS Day, and I'd asked Rihanna at the last minute to join me, help raise awareness across the Caribbean. To my shock, she'd said yes. November 2016. Important day, vital cause, but my head wasn't in the game. I was worried about Meg. She couldn't go home because her house was surrounded by paps. She couldn't go to her mother's house in Los Angeles because it too was surrounded by paps. Alone, adrift, she was on break from filming, and it was Thanksgiving time. So I'd reached out to friends who had a house sitting empty in Los Angeles, and they'd generously offered it to her. Problem solved, for the moment. Still, I was feeling worried and intensely hostile towards the press, and I was now surrounded by press. The same royal reporters. Gazing at them all, I thought, complicit. Then the needle went to my finger. I watched the blood spurt and remembered all the people, friends and strangers, fellow soldiers, journalists, novelists, schoolmates, who'd ever called me and my family blue bloods. That old shorthand for aristocracy, for royalty. I wondered where it had come from. Someone said our blood was blue because it was colder than other people's, but that couldn't be right, could it? My family always said it was blue because we were special, but that couldn't be right either. Watching the nurse channel my blood into a test tube, I thought, red, just like everyone else's. Chapter 23. Reunited. A quiet night at Knot Cop, preparing dinner together, December 2016. Meg and I had discovered that we shared the same favourite food, roast chicken. I didn't know how to cook it, so that night she was teaching me. I remember the warmth of the kitchen, the wonderful smells. Lemon wedges on the cutting board, garlic and rosemary, gravy bubbling in a saucepan. I remember rubbing salt on the skin of the bird, then opening a bottle of wine. Meg put on music. She was expanding my horizons, teaching me about folk music and soul, James Taylor and Nina Simone. It's a new dawn, it's a new day. Maybe the wine went to my head. Maybe the weeks of battling the press had worn me down. For some reason, when the conversation took an unexpected turn, I became touchy, then angry, disproportionately, sloppily angry. Meg said something I took the wrong way. It was partly a cultural difference, partly a language barrier, but I was also just oversensitive that night. I thought, why is she having a go at me? I snapped at her, spoke to her harshly, cruelly. As the words left my mouth, I could feel everything in the room come to a stop. The gravy stopped bubbling. The molecules of air stopped orbiting. Even Nina Simone seemed to pause. Meg walked out of the room, disappearing for a full 15 minutes. I went and found her upstairs. She was sitting in the bedroom. She was calm, but said in a quiet, level tone that she would never stand for being spoken to like that. I nodded. She wanted to know where it came from. I don't know. Where did you ever hear a man speak like that to a woman? Did you ever hear adults speak that way when you were growing up? I cleared my throat, looked away. Yes. She wasn't going to tolerate that kind of partner, or co-parent, that kind of life. She wasn't going to raise children in an atmosphere of anger or disrespect. She laid it all out. Super clear. We both knew my anger hadn't been caused by anything to do with our conversation. It came from somewhere deep inside, somewhere that needed to be excavated, and it was obvious that I could use some help with the job. I've tried therapy, I told her. Willie told me to go. Never found the right person, didn't work. No, she said softly. Try again.
Consistently, I find that self-respect and self-esteem could almost be treated as twins. When you, as a young woman, have respect for yourself, you will inevitably set boundaries in relation to how you expect to be treated. I've said many times on this channel that I don't see members of the royal family as any better than the rest of us. Harry, as you heard, came to the same realization when he had his HIV test. Status and titles mean absolutely nothing to me, especially when I know that you have insecurities like the rest of us. You have to perform the same bodily functions as the rest of us, and you make mistakes just like the rest of us. Evidently, status and titles mean nothing to Meghan either, especially when she's not accepting of the way she's been spoken to, as you heard. I'd imagine that in her head, at that moment, whatever is going on in the background with Harry, or however he felt about something that he was dealing with, I'd imagine her saying, "You don't get to shout at me, especially when I believe I haven't done anything wrong." And what I like about that scenario that he talked about, she didn't have a confrontation with him. She didn't, for want of a better word, go ratchet on him. She calmly walked out of the room and didn't say anything. For a full 15 minutes, she was absent. It gave him the opportunity to actually realize what he did was out of order and he had to go and look for her. I have a suspicion that what I'm about to say next could be misconstrued as victim blaming. I can assure you that's not the case. However, I'm willing to take that risk if it means that we really seriously rethink what we're doing. But before I pose these next 5 questions, I want to take a moment to acknowledge the lives of the deceased women and men who have lost their lives at the hands of their partners. My thoughts are with their families, especially their children. These are 5 questions I was thinking about while I was trying to work out how I was going to come and have this chat to you today. Question 1. Why is there a cohort of women who are willing to be with men who have no respect for them? Number 2. Why is there a cohort of women whose self-esteem has followed their self-respect out of the door because these women are under the misapprehension perpetuated by their partners that they will never get anyone better? Number 3. Why is there a cohort of women who are willing to bring up their children in an atmosphere of utter disrespect, disorder, instability, and chaos? Number 4. Why is there a cohort of women who are willing to put their own lives in jeopardy because they are trying to change their partner into the man they want to be with? And number 5. Why is there a cohort of women who are willing to put their own lives in jeopardy because they are trying in vain to get their partner to realize his full potential? Potential that this man will never have. He may have whispered sweet nothings when you guys were dating, but as soon as that ring went onto your finger, or as soon as you started living together, the man turned into a monster. Now, obviously, that doesn't apply to all men. But having watched these videos, and these are news items, as recently as last month, July, I was seeing stories like this, and I literally didn't know what to say. Invariably, these men have self-esteem issues of their own. And the pattern was that, when the woman has realized that she's kind of made a mistake in tying herself to this person, to this man, she's made a further mistake by letting him know that she wants to end the relationship. He is not going to let her go, because in some of these cases, these men are being kept financially by these women. Some of these men are lazy. Some of these men have no ambition. Some of these men realize that the only way they can survive is to rely on this woman who even thought to give him the time of day. Now, as I said, this doesn't apply to all men. I'm not a man basher, okay? I have a brother and we are very close. We talk all the time. And, I've mentioned in 1 or 2 videos that I've made my feelings clear with regard to some questionable girlfriends because I want the best for him. Some of these, women that I've seen him with, he's not had a whole lot, but the ones that I know of, maybe 2 or 3, not impressed at all. because they displayed the traits that if I had a son, I would never want my son to be with that person. So it works both ways. This is not a man bashing channel. We as a community, and you guys know when I say community in this context what I mean, we need to do better. We need to take accountability for our actions, men and women. But today I want to talk about women because I really do fear for us. I really do fear for us. And it's not just young women like my daughter's age, because I'd seen a lot of videos with regard to women my daughter's age, and I think that's why I was so disturbed. But women in their 30s, women in their 40s, women in their 50s. So as a woman, you have to understand that you never had, you currently don't have, and you never will have the power to change someone into the person that you want them to be. You can't change your partner any more than he can change you. If you feel that you're not free to express your concerns, particularly if they don't align with his perspective, if you can't even express your concerns in your relationship without fear of being physically or verbally dealt with, hard as it may be, please try to find a way to regain your self-respect, and its twin, self-esteem, will be very, very close behind. Once you re-establish your relationship with these two siblings, you may just attract a partner who is the perfect fit for you. I'm going to wrap it up here now, guys, because I've actually got to go into another call. But if your thoughts were provoked in any way, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. And if you haven't yet become a house guest, don't forget to hit subscribe and activate all of your notifications. Let's hear what you have to say in the comments. And remember, I'm going to select 2 from this episode to be featured in the next episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we shall catch up in the next episode of Coffee Chats.
She was calm, but said in a quiet, level tone that she would never stand for being spoken to like that. She wasn't going to tolerate that kind of partner or co-parent, that kind of life. She wasn't going to raise children in an atmosphere of anger or disrespect. She laid it all out, super clear.